Oak Island. The nearest community is the village of Chester. The earliest European residents of the area were French fishermen who, by the 1750s, had built a few houses on the future site of Chester. During the French and Indian War, the British government of Nova Scotia enacted a series of measures to encourage settlement of the area by the European-descended New Englanders. Land was made available to settlers in 1759 through the Charm Grant. Chester was officially founded that same year. A large part of Oak Island was granted to the Monroe, Lynch, Seacombe and Young families around the same time as the establishment of Chester. The first major group of settlers arrived in the Chester area from Massachusetts in 1761. The following year, Oak Island was officially surveyed and divided into 32 4-acre lots. In the early days of British settlement, the island was known locally as Smith's Island, after an early settler of the area named Edward Smith. Cartographer J.F.K. Desbarres renamed the island to Gloucester Isle in 1778. Shortly thereafter, the locally used name Oak Island was officially adopted for the island. Early residents included Edward Smith in the 1760s and Anthony Vaughan Sr. in the early 1770s. In 1784, the government made additional land grants, this time to former soldiers, which included parts of Oak Island. Presently, Oak Islanders own 78% of the island. The remaining 22% of the island is owned by private parties. There are 2 permanent homes and 2 cottages occupied part-time on the island. The Oak Island Mystery. For more than a century and a half, there have been investigations and excavations on Oak Island. There are many theories about what might be buried or concealed there. Areas of interest on the island include a location known as the Money Pit, a formation of boulders called Nolan's Cross, the beach at Smith's Cove, and a triangle-shaped swamp. 4. The Money Pit area has been repeatedly excavated. Critics argue that there is no treasure and that the Money Pit is a natural phenomenon. Early accounts and the Money Pit. Money Pit at Oak Island. There are many 19th-century accounts of Oak Island, but some are conflicting or biased. 5. Further, physical evidence from the initial excavations is unavailable. A basic summary of the history of the pit is as follows. In 1857, there appeared newspaper accounts of a group digging for the treasure of the pirate Captain Kidd on Oak Island. 6. In 1862, treasure hunter J.B. Macaulay of Truro, Nova Scotia wrote that the early settlers of the Oak Island area had brought with them a story of a drying sailor of Captain Kidd's crew claiming that £2 million value in treasure had been buried on an island. Macaulay further claimed that in the early days of settlement, a Mr. McGinnis, while scouting a location for a farm, had happened upon a depression in the earth which was consistent with the Captain Kidd story. With the assistance of a Smith and Vaughan, Macaulay claimed that McGinnis excavated the depression and discovered a layer of flagstones 2 feet below. As they dug down, they discovered layers of logs at about every 10 feet, 3.0 meters. They were said to have abandoned the excavation at 30 feet, 9.1 meters. Due to the people of the area refusing to assist in the digging based on superstitious dread. In 1863, an investor in the Oak Island diggings named Paul Fye claimed that McGinnis was the first settler on Oak Island and had discovered the depression around 1799. Investigator Joe Nickell reviewed the original accounts and interviews with McGuinness descendants and other descendants of the original island landowners. While later sources asserted that the treasure had been discovered by 3 young boys, he asserted that the story was of 3 adult lot owners who discovered the depression on the island and began digging.